Hello, everybody. My name's James. Welcome to episode 7 of Correspondent Week. I'm delighted to say I'm joined by a Bournemouth correspondent, Neil Grover, who's had his defence ripped out of him. How are you, Neil?
I'm walking with a slight limp with how this summer's gone so far, I think. But no, I'm okay, thank you. How's your summer going?
Yeah, good. Thank you, mate. Yeah, not too bad. I mean, it's not all bad news, is it? Antonio Iraola staying is obviously really important. I think we knew that was going to happen before the end of the season, but I guess that's the biggest relief of all, isn't it?
I'll be more relieved when he signs a new contract, which supposedly is happening once the window's closed. They're sort of doing the window, then they're doing the signing. So once he's done that, then yeah, I think I know contracts mean nothing nowadays, but just gives us a little bit more breathing room because otherwise he's out of contract at the end of the season.
I think despite what's happened, we're obviously going to talk about some of the outgoings in a sec, but the fact that he's going to be there, like I think if
Oh,
if he was gone as well, we'd be like, uh-oh, I'm really worried for the trajectory of this. But I don't hear anyone say, oh, I'm concerned Bournemouth will get sucked into trouble or anything like that.
There's a few like whispers of it, but I think that's natural with some of the outgoings we've had, and yet we're yet to replace potentially two of the four. Um, I think there's a little bit of nervousness, I guess, but ultimately the transfer window takes time, and personally, I've got the utmost sort of uh I believe in the in Pinto and Francis. Like they've done so well the past few years. I've got no worries, no concerns that they won't pull it out of the bag.
You've lost two very big defensive players. It sounds like it's going to be a third, but it's
Mm.
also understandable considering where these players are going to. Dean Howson obviously gone to Real Madrid. Am I right in saying that was a release clause met and therefore was very little you could do?
Yeah, nothing we could do. And the positive, okay, we've not then done anything with that money yet. It was done early, so I mean the club will have known that they were likely to lose a centre back this year. I think had Howson not exploded as he had, I think Zabarnyi would have been. I don't think we would have got this late with Zabarnyi still in the team. Um, so I think we were always going to need a centre back this summer. It's just that we haven't done anything yet. I think is again, it's just that little bit of concern that some of the fan base have. So, but yeah, it is what it is. He was a big player, and ultimately the club made a massive profit on a player we had for a year. And he left in the right way. I can't say a bad word about Howson really.
Have you got bad words to say about Milos Kerkez?
I might have a few. You might have seen a few in the in the Slack, but it is what it is. Like I mean, again, we knew he was leaving. Um,
It
didn't I
wasn't
don't
subtle, was it?
know,
No.
and I think the bit that sort of ground my gears a little bit was like everyone knew it was done, and then he went on the podcast and things and was like talking about how it was a dream move before we'd agreed a fee, and it's like, come on, like, can you at least wait a little bit before you
There's a way to
get,
do it, isn't there,
yeah,
essentially?
that's it. Like,
Yeah,
I
you
get
can't be
it.
angry of him potentially going to
No,
be left back for the champions, but yeah, there's a way to do it on the way out, isn't there?
yeah, exactly. And it is what it is. Ultimately, like you said, I can't begrudge him a move to a club like Liverpool, but just like all you needed to do was just keep quiet until you've got the shirt in front of the cop end or wherever they take the photos. Right, that's all you need to do.
Is he good enough?
Kerkez,
Yeah.
I think offensively he's gonna delight Liverpool fans. I think he got covered a little bit by just how good our centre backs were last year, defensively at times. What worries me, just knowing what Liverpool have, is they perhaps don't have that pace at centre back that we had. With just thinking with Van Dijk, and that could mean he gets a little bit exposed. But certainly offensively, and he's young, right? He's still only what 22, so you can certainly train that into him, and ultimately it worked for Trent having no defensive acumen really. So why can't it work for Kerkez? A team like that, why not?
Would you consider him for FPL or are you like, ah, traitor, bollocks?
I haven't actually even looked at how much he is. To be
6.
honest, 6. That feels a smidge high. Is my initial thought, but yeah, I mean, he's. I think I'll probably end up with him at some point. He's still going to be an attacking fullback, right? That's going to, particularly with the embarrassment of riches that Liverpool have up top, like he's going to get assists.
All right. It's currently Tuesday afternoon no, it's not. It's Monday afternoon, isn't it, Neil? At the time of recording, it shows that I'm completely lost already. Where are we at with Ilia Zabarnyi? It sounds like he's probably going to Paris Saint-Germain for a monster fee. But he played for you on Sunday night.
Yeah, he played last night, and he's played all through the summer series in America. So I think that's a weird one. I don't think it's as close as certain journalists are making out and have, but he's been sort of on a bit of a hit list from Bournemouth fans all summer because he's seems to do a post every day about Huijsen or Zabarnyi, but that is what it is. I suspect the deal gets done at this point. Like, there's no smoke without fire. I think what from a Bournemouth point of view, I think is positive. We've clearly set a fee that's in that sort of, whether it's euros or pounds, we don't know, 70 million. And that's been the fee. And we've kind of said, put up or shut up. PSG have continued to try and agitate, I think, to get that fee down, which is their right. Of course, they want to pay as little as possible. But we have gone, no, the fee is the fee, and you pay it or you go away. And I think ultimately they're going to have to get very close to it and probably hit it, maybe with some very reasonable add-ons. I suspect is where we get to sort of maybe 65 plus 5 in when they win the Ligue 1 or whatever, right? That's those sort of clauses that
I
mean,
suppose as he's continuing to play, he might play at Liverpool, right?
yeah,
In game week 1, as it
yeah.
stands.
If he's still here, he will play. Yeah, I mean, I just don't see why he wouldn't. At the moment, we're not. Otherwise, we end up in a situation where our centre backs versus Liverpool first game of the season away from home are Senesi and Hill, which terrifies me, to be honest.
It terrifies someone looking at his FPL draft at the moment that doesn't see Mo Salah in it, mate. How many, if Zabani goes, how many centre backs do you need? Is it minimum 2 then?
Minimum two. Yeah, I think Senesi is a perfectly reasonable third option. We've got Hill, who I think is perfectly reasonable backup option as well, because he can cover across the back a little bit, as we saw at times last year. Um, and I think we might need that because Cook is out for a long period of time. So while we have signed, we've got Araujo back, which we didn't have at times last year. We're still only really one injury away from having a problem at right back. So yeah, I think we do need two. We have got Matai Akimboni. I've probably absolutely butchered his name there,
Looks
but
good
he's
to
a
me,
young,
mate.
yeah, young lad from. We signed him from DC United, I think it was. It was from certainly the MLS. So I think he's a little bit away, but I expect him to come and maybe have a few minutes here and there, but not anything for FPL radar.
Okay, we'll come back on some of them cheaper options in a bit. You also lost your goalkeeper, mate, although it wasn't really yours. But before we talk Petrovic, I'm just interested to know if there's any reason why buying Kepa wasn't an option, or did the club try?
I think certainly fee wise, don't think there was an issue at all. I suspect it was wages. Um, Ultimately, he was at one point the most valuable keeper in the world, right? And I suspect his wages at Chelsea reflected that. And ultimately, we're not in a position to pay a goalkeeper that really has no resale value from our point of view. He's what, 31, something like that. So we were never going to make a fee off of him in the future. So we can't be paying a player like that 150,000 probably. Whereas Petrovic, much younger keeper, there's every chance that there is a big, we will be able to make a profit off of him, and that is the business model. We want to buy these players, and I think Petrovic is a fantastic goalkeeper. I was delighted when we signed him, but he ticks both of those boxes, that he is a he's first of all, he's going to be chomping at the bit to be a number one in the Premier League because of how things went down at Chelsea. Um, he's young. He's probably not on anywhere near the wages that Kepa would have asked for. I'm sure he's very well paid, but not that same level. And there's going to be that resale value. Should he do what we think he's going to do?
Is that it's interesting that your model of club has very much been about opening opportunities to players and showing them. I know the club's keen not to, if a Liverpool or Madrid or a Paris Saint-Germain come calling, it's like best of luck, and you
Yeah.
kind of understand that. Is that really important when you buy any player, just generally? Because one of the things I'd suggest is because you potentially using both centre backs at the same time. I suggested last week you might do something a little bit different and maybe plug a gap with a little bit of experience just in the short term because you've essentially lost the whole back line, it feels like.
Yeah. I suspect that won't be how unless there is, and I suspect we're too late in the season for that to have happened. I mean, had there have been a it's the wrong position, but let's say a Callum Wilson-esque player. So that experienced player that's done that. I know his injury record and all of that, but he would have been available on a free transfer. Had there have been that sort of player available at centre back, I think you're right. We probably would have been interested in that. I don't believe there was one, certainly in the Premier League, that was available. I suspect now we just revert to type. I think there would have been. I'm almost certain there is a list of players, probably certainly from the rumours we've seen. They've kicked the tyres on at least 5 or 6 young, up and coming centre backs. A few of them have now come off the market, but I think a few are still available. So I suspect that's what we'll do. We'll continue to trust the players that we're bringing in because we're not bringing in when I say we're bringing in youth. If you look at Truffert and Petrovic, even Huijsen and Zabarnyi, they were young but they were experienced still. They weren't coming in and making their first appearances for us. Kerkez the same, right? He'd been playing in the Dutch league, so that we're bringing in players that are not getting their first senior place. We're bringing in players that have played probably a season or two in other leagues, and that they should kind of have a bit about them. I do think, and I'm sure we'll talk about him in more depth, that Truffert is an incredibly astute signing because it does tick that as well, particularly from a leadership point of view as well.
Go on, traffic, go on.
So he is, or was, I should say, because now he's a Bournemouth player, the captain at Rennes, I believe it was. European experience, but he's also only 23. Yeah, 23. So to have European experience, he's played something like 165 matches at 23. So that's sort of what I'm saying in that he's got all of those sort of attributes that we want. I think from a style of play as well, he seems very similar to Kerkez. I think he's been a bit of a standout in the summer series for us as well. He's looked quite good going forward, certainly from an attacking returns point of view, and I haven't noticed him at the back, which is a good sign.
Any concern that he's not first choice for those who are interested in for
Oh
fantasy?
no, no, 100% first choice left back.
100%.
Yeah,
Because I had a bit of pushback when I did a piece on him on the transfer window show when he signed. I had a bit of pushback saying, not sure he'd be first choice.
yeah. He's been the go-to left back throughout the summer series. I presume the pushback was on Soler.
Yeah.
Yeah, Soler feels like because he's a little bit younger and a little bit rawer. I feel like he needs to just add a little bit more muscle. He's going to get opportunities this year, but it will be behind Truffert.
Okay. Um, Other new signing you've signed is Ellie Junior Kroupi,
Mm,
who you actually signed officially in January, but obviously joins you permanently now.
yes.
What can you tell us about him?
Very exciting, young talent. Again, we seem to be fishing out of the French pool of players at the moment, which I've got. I'm quite happy with that. Very young, so 19, but he scored last year. Let me get it up.
He had a really good
20.
end of season record after he'd officially joined you, I think.
Yeah, he went on a tear. So
Yeah.
he scored 23 goals in League Two last year. I think he got their golden boot or some equivalent. It certainly was in that sort of race come the end of the season. Looks lively. I haven't seen too much of him in pre-season. He picked up a little bit of a knock, so didn't play in the first two summer series games, but did play a little bit last night against West Ham and looked like he had a couple of interesting shots. Certainly a very exciting prospect. I'm very interested to see how he gets on. Um, but he's going to be in that sort of rotation of players that we play behind Evanilson, I think.
Okay. So, I mean, I guess interestingly, these three new signings are all potentially quite interesting for
mm,
fantasy in
I
Petrovic,
agree.
Truffert, and Kroupi. Um, the two defensive players, obviously, well, they're all 4.5, aren't they, actually?
Yep.
Well, any of these pick your fancy?
I like Truffert. I mean, it's difficult because you're asking me about defensive assets there with Anfield first game.
You don't have
But I
to
think
start it necessarily, though, do
no,
you?
no,
Obviously.
no, exactly. Petrovic, I think, is has the most interest day one for me. Again, I'm not expecting him to do much against Liverpool, but after that, just because of his shot stopping that we've seen, I mean, that was something that stood out to me at Strasbourg. So I think that's something that he will continue to do. I think um, there's going to be a few little mistakes and things that are going to naturally happen because our defense is going to be there's going to be that communication thing that just takes time to have. So there might be a few little shots that teams are able to get, and hopefully he can stop most of those. So I think there could be some interest there. Um, I've got a watching brief on Kroupi as well because if there's any sort of he at the moment he would be definitely our second striker. So if Evanilson is hurt, it's a 4.5 million striker going in there that has a proven pedigree of goal scoring, albeit not in the Premier League. Um, yeah, so I think those two, and our fullbacks are always going to be of interest at stretches of the season.
What you make of the fixtures?
Obviously, I think we've got. I think I saw it's about the third hardest start over the first five games or something like that, which I think we had last year as well.
That's where I've got you 18th for my ticker across the first five,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think obviously I'm not expecting much game week one. Wolves at home will be a big game because you don't want to be sat on a duck egg for 3-4 games, which could potentially happen if you don't get anything against Wolves. Um, it's a little bit rough, obviously, having Liverpool away, you away, and then Brighton, who always seem to have our number, and then Newcastle. Okay, we don't tend to lose to Eddie Howe, but it's still a very difficult game, right? All of that while our defence is still settling. So that could be a concern, but ultimately, you only do while you have to play everyone twice, that's what everyone does. Kind of having that clump of rubbish at the start for us, as from a fixtures point of view,
Get it out of the way.
it gets it out of the way, and you just take your lumps up front. I mean, I don't hate Anfield away first game because what you don't want is when you're in the middle of a really nice run, and then you go to Anfield, get humped, 4-0 or whatever, and then that just breaks all momentum. Whereas now it's not going to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could have had a kind start, first three, maybe not be ready for it under the circumstances, add players, but then walk into a really tough set and it can go the other way. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
there's nothing to lose first night against
It's a free
Liverpool, is
hit.
there?
It's an absolute free hit of a game, as much as you ever get one in the Premier League. Who knows? We'd have shock teams. Certainly, we made a habit of it last year. I wouldn't be betting my mortgage on it, but it could happen. I mean, who knows?
Have you done an FPL draft yet?
Not fully. I've created my team and done all of that, but at the moment I've just got the automatic. I was waiting for just a few more of the transfers to kind of kick in first.
Do you think you'll captain Mo in game week one? I don't mean
Oh,
Mo Kudus,
that's
obviously.
you're going in straight in there, aren't you?
Well, I've got to ask, and I people want to know.
I wouldn't hate it, especially if Zabarnyi goes and So let's say the worst case scenario as a Bournemouth fan going into that game is Zabarnyi is gone and we haven't signed at least one centre back. Um, I mean, yeah, I would. You almost look at it and go, that TC suddenly looks quite interesting. Like it's that, but
Really?
it could be that bad with if we've got no centre backs.
Is Senesi no? You're saying you're almost happy for him to be first choice backup. Is your real big kind of downgrade then from
He's not looked on it
Zabarnyi and
at all.
Housen?
He's just the problem that he had. I mean, he was perfectly fine at the start of last season, but he's just had a season off due to I think it was his knee went, and he's just getting back into that sort of match pace and he looked a little bit off of it in the summer series. Um, it wasn't helped by I think Zabarnyi has got a little bit transferitis at the moment where he's not going into tackles and all that, which I understand, but I think he is a drop off from there. The other thing that is interesting is Senesi is in the last year of his contract as well, so we could be in a real problem if things don't
You're
start
not
to.
telling me you're going to sell him as well.
There was definitely rumours at the start of the summer that teams were looking at him.
Wow. What sort of caliber of team are we talking about here?
It was. I think it was. I want to say it was one of the Milans was looking at him,
Wow. Okay.
and then that again would be a problem. Like if one of a team like that comes in for him,
I,
uh,
I guess is there an element of disappointment here from your perspective towards the club? I know you're really happy with the direction that the football club's going at the moment, but we did know the Dean House until really, really early. We're now, your the time you hear this, that 10 days away from the start of the season, with no kind of real indication of what's happening at centre back.
mm,
And you've clearly got the money from
mm.
at least the two deals.
Yeah, I think that certainly there's a disappointment that so with the look if you look at how the two transfers have gone down. So the Kerkez one, it was very clear that that one was going to happen, and it didn't happen until we signed Truffert. Like that was kind of the trigger that then Howson we couldn't do that, but there is certainly a disappointment that they haven't signed someone yet to replace him. We've had what 6 weeks by this point, more than that. I think what's happened, and certainly there's been a lot of speculation that we've made bids on players, as we all see on Twitter and things. But what it seems to have happened is clubs know that we have just sold 150 million pounds worth of players, and therefore they all want a lot more money than they would normally have asked for their players. Which again, I can't say I hate that. I would want Bournemouth to do it in the same position. But like, there's been some of the players that we've gone for, and the offer has come back, and they've gone, "Oh, actually, we want 50 million pounds for this 22-year-old centre back," and you're like, "Hang on, that's more than Dean Howson. Like, what are we doing here?" So that's happened 2 or 3 times now. So they're clearly trying, and but we need to see something this week, really, for me.
You're clearly going to have, as it stands, some 4.0 starters at Liverpool in game week one. I mean,
Hmm.
the scenario, judging what you just said on Senna's side, might even have three of them. Are any of them potential options to look at? I guess specifically, I'm asking mainly about Arojo
He will start at right back.
over Adam Smith. Yeah, confident of that.
I think so. It's from just looking at the.
I just
Oh,
wonder about Smith's experience, considering what's
yeah,
happening as
that
well.
that was what I was just thinking. I said that quite confidently, and then I was like, actually, if we need to play Hill at centre back with Senesi, we might have to play Smith just for that experience piece. Um, I think our the plan is for Julian to move into that. I mean, Smith, while he's an absolutely fantastic servant for the club, he is also 34. I want to say, like, we need to be moving on to the next thing, and if it's not, if Araujo isn't going to take that spot, then that's something that we also need to address
I
in
love
the
it, Neil.
next.
You've just tried to sell two defenders that you actually still have.
No, I'm not going to say no. Smith will retire a Bournemouth player, but it is just we need to we really do need to understand if he's not going to be the right back, then what are we doing
Uh,
for a
Have
run?
we, so if we're grouping Araujo and Smith and Truffert and Soler,
Yep.
I guess that's your pull from the fullback positions at the moment. That'd be right.
Yes, with Hill,
Can
can play
play
there.
right side particularly. Yeah. Okay. Is there any indication that any of them can play centre back?
Smith has done in the
He's
past
not big
in a
enough to
push,
play
but he's
centre back,
not.
mate.
No, no, no. But he's done it in a pinch. No, because I think the plan would have been, and we saw it last year for Lewis Cook to move back, had in a pinch, but we can't do that now. So, um,
He covered very well at right back, and as you said, unfortunately, he's got a bad injury.
yeah. So, yeah, I really don't see any of those fullbacks that are going to be able to do it. We may be in a position where they have to. I mean, heck, put Dango there. He's played everywhere else, so why not? But
Well, he's covered at left back as well,
yeah,
ironically,
he
hasn't he?
has. One of my better hitting tweets of the summer was Dangoli, which I don't know if you saw that one, but yeah, I think that's got to be the option. It's got to be if Zabarnyi is gone, it has to be Hill and Senesi at centre back.
No out the box thinking here on something like Philip Billing aesthetically has got the height. Tyler Adams is a very clever player
He is.
who would go in there, I think would be dependable for you. And he takes something out your midfield, but I'm just trying to think outside the box here a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I could see Adams working. I wouldn't like it so much because we still don't know where Christie's at. We haven't seen him at all this preseason, so we then lose a little bit of the
Gets better
spine
this.
of the midfields, right? So you need to.
Serge, tear up my draft. I got to get Mo.
We're limping. I mean, just to go down some of the injuries, we haven't seen Kluivert this summer at all yet. We haven't seen Christie. Scott has obviously still coming back off the broken jaw. Sinistera hasn't appeared yet. One positive, and I don't actually see him in FPL.
Go on,
Uh,
drop us a bum, Neil.
Traore.
Hamid Traore, yeah. He's 4.5 midfielder, mate.
I just must be missing him. It's on the second page.
No, we
Yeah,
might be
he's
actually.
on my
Yeah.
second page. There he is. The screen I had up had I did it in a weird way. Yeah, he's a possible. He's had a really bright preseason. There was talk of him perhaps moving on, but he might be he was playing in the number 10 role in the summer series, and I think looked very good. I would love to see him get a chance, particularly when as we're so light in midfield at the moment.
All this being said,
Yeah,
can you foresee yourself from an FPL perspective starting with any of these
no,
defensive
not
assets?
no, not the defensive assets. No.
Petrovic?
I could see him on my bench, but obviously I'm not bringing him in again. But against Liverpool, but I could see him 100% see myself playing him against Wolves.
Okay, let's move on to a bit of the team that's a little bit more stable at the moment in terms of the attacking players. I guess I wanted to have a big debate with you about Semenyo versus Kluivert, but I guess it's no contest at the moment, is it?
Yeah, it's Semenyo. I think Kluivert will be fit for the season, but he might take a little bit of time to I say fit. He'll be available to play, but he hasn't had a preseason at all. So he will need to get some minutes in him, probably off the bench, or we might see what we've seen before, where maybe he starts and comes off at 50, 60 minutes. So whereas Semenyo he's going to be there, he's going to be playing. I mean, he has to really at the moment.
Well, what's the issue with Kluivert? Do we know?
Um, I think it was just a bit of a knock that happened right at the start of the preseason, and that's
It
just sort of.
always concerns me when players have interrupted pre-seasons.
Mhm.
Like heavy example, but you think of like I know Arsenal fans were really critical of Odegaard's performances when he got back fit. I don't think people understand the difficulty of return. If you're starting behind your teammates,
Yeah.
we see it so often, even like when players join clubs and it's like it's late in the window and didn't have a proper pre-season where they've been previously and stuff. Just you're not going to hit the ground running. And that would be really concerning. He's a terrific little player.
Oh, a wonderful player, and I think he was one of the standouts of the season for me last year, right? In terms of
when you
unexpected.
sold him before he got his hat trick at Newcastle.
Yes, thank you. But I did bring in
But you did have
Dango.
Dango for his hat trick.
So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, swings and roundabouts, the duality of man there. But yeah, I mean, so I think for now you have to wait and see what happens there. I think you're right with the concern there, but for me, it's Semenyo is the winner there.
Interest to you or not? Do you think?
Yeah, I think so from attacking point of view. Um, Everything is going to come through him. He's again, I think he's got on a little bit of a. I think this is going to be a big season for him. Obviously, he had such a relatively monster season last year where he really sort of burst onto people's consciousness. He signed a new deal in during when there was a lot of speculation
Yep.
around his future. I would be very surprised if that contract didn't come with either, if it's not a clause, at least sort of a gentleman's handshake to say, look, go and do it again, and then we'll have a chat next summer for 70 million or whatever it is. So he is going to feel like he's got the security if it doesn't work, but also he really, this is a big prove it season for him, right? He's got to do it again. And if he does it again, then sure, he can have that move to pick a club, right?
Yeah, there'll be no shortage of suitors. I mean, that
No.
was a great boost for you actually, because that contract renewal came really out of the blue. A number of clubs were getting mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, and it was right during that period where Zabarnyi was that those rumors were just picking up. We hadn't signed Petrovic yet. Huijsen had obviously gone. Kerkez had basically everyone knew he'd gone, and it just looked like we were just getting absolutely beaten left, right, and centre. And I think it was a big moment for the morale of the club as well, because you've got to try and keep some of these players. Like you can't sell everyone in one go. As much as the club wants to show it's got a pathway, I think the club is very loath to sell Zabarnyi. But I just don't see, like every player has his price, and if they're going to pay 70 million, then good for them, right? But yeah, you lose all of those three and Semenyo, and then try and sell to other players coming in that we're trying to push forward and be progressive.
How do you feel Semenyo from an FPL perspective compares with other players at similar price? I'm thinking of people like Morgan Rogers, Kevin Schade, Anthony Elanga, Brennan Johnson, maybe subject to minutes.
I do think what he has in his favour, he's going to be, and we've spoken about this, over the years about that sort of talisman for us. I think he has to be that man for us this year. He's also going to be he's the player that people are looking to play in. He has both the creative and the destructive aspect to him. I would love it if he was, and we did see him score a few goals towards the end of the season where he didn't just go power.
Fulham at
Um,
home sprung to mind as
yeah,
one.
well, and if he can start to do that a little bit more and just have just a little moment of thought, like, do I need to put this through the net or could I just place it? If he starts to, be a bit more picking and choosing, I think he really is a very interesting goal scorer, and he will deserve the move to wherever it is that he goes, because he'll score. I can't remember what he got last year, sort of 10 or so, was it?
He'll have
11.
more joy. I mean, it's great returns. 7 assists on top of that as well, right? It's decent.
Yeah.
He'll have more joy with his brilliant, powerful striking if he has a bit more finesse in other moments, make keepers off edge and people are going to go
Yeah,
and block the
100%.
shot. If Semenyo's got it now and the head goes down, people know just to rush towards him because the
Yeah.
shot's coming.
And then all of a sudden he becomes a 20 goal all involvement winger. And I mean, that's a fantastic return, right, for any player in FPL and in the league. So yeah, that interests me, and I think he's going to be in my thoughts a lot this year. And hopefully it will go up.
If
Is
if Kluivert was fit,
Mhm.
100%, would that be different? Would you have a favouritism over Kluivert, Pens?
Yes, possibly. If he'd had like a full preseason, because you're right. I think Kluivert is obviously he's going to be on pens this year, going forward. So you have still got that because ultimately we are still the high press, sort of high intensity nature of how we play will continue to get us those sort of penalties and free kicks and things. So Kluivert will do well from that point of view. I do think there's perhaps a little bit more uh, competition. As I said, if Traore sticks around, he could be a genuine competitor for that sort of number 10 role. But we'll see where we are in 2 weeks' time, right?
Okay. I think, yeah, Semenyo's certainly in the run in terms of midfielders priced
Yeah,
at 7 million. It's probably a difficult one. Just looking at the Liverpool fixture just feels really ugly, but it's not like he can't return in a game like that. And I've said similar things about your number 9, Evanilson. I think it's probably in for a really good season, actually, Neil.
yeah.
How does that equation of difference now feel? Because Evanilson's at the same price point as well.
I really like Evanilson. I think in terms of, I can't remember the exact wording of the stat, but I think he had the most goal involvements for a player signed last summer or something like that. Might have been most goals, but yeah, I mean, 15 returns off of uh, 2/3 of a season last year. I think he'll be aiming at that again at 20 goal involvements, hopefully, maybe sort of 15 goals, which I would be delighted with. He looked in fairly good nick. I know he missed a sitter last night, but it's still pre-season. They're still honing it in, but he nearly did make up for it because I think he forced an error from was Iraola last night, the West Ham keeper. So yeah, he nearly fought just again that high press, the high intensity. He nearly managed to sort of get it to flick into the net from just that pressure. So I think he suits that sort of system very well. So yeah, I really don't mind him again at that sort of price point, and if he stays fit, he'll bang them in, I'm sure.
Any concern about someone like Newcastle coming in Sunday? Just if they're
No.
really like if Sesko chooses Man United or something like that.
If they did, I mean, it would need to be an absolute like wow sort of
Yeah, I mean,
deal.
you absolutely clearly don't need any more money. Probably
Yeah, I
tired
mean,
of money.
yeah, I mean, what are we doing with it at this point? We're just building the stadium with £5 notes. But yeah, I mean, if that happened, it would have to be 100 million, right? Like because we would ask for the moon on a stick, and I just don't see Newcastle. I'm sure they'd have money because they'd have the Isak money, but I don't. They're not going to sign that off, are they?
Would he be on pens if Kluivert's absent?
If Kluivert's absent, I think so.
Not
But I think
Semenyo?
Clive. No, I think you'd give it, especially early in the season, because you want your striker to get going, don't
Did he
you?
miss
And
two last year or one?
you missed the one against Chelsea, and
Yeah.
then after that, just Kluivert went with it, and we didn't look back. So yeah, I think if let's say we get a penalty at Anfield and Kluivert's not on the pitch, I think Evanilson takes it. If we get to sort of game 5 and 6, and Evanilson's maybe got two or three, then we might see where we're at. But yeah, I think you get your striker rolling, don't you?
Okay. Any thoughts on bit of a saving on say Ouattara at 6, Tavernier 5.5?
Tavernier is going to be in the team in and about. I think he can be quite a frustrating player at times, as we all know. He because again he's in that sort of rotation group that we sometimes see. He's done okay in pre-season. You've got the likes of Brooks in that group as well. Dango, the problem with him is he could end up anywhere on the pitch at any given moment, and all of a sudden you have a £6 million defender, which you might not want. Um, but equally, he could end up front, if we're chasing the game. So you take your gambles with him. I think he's going to have games where he will score sort of 20 points or something ridiculous. But I think there's also going to be a lot of ones and twos in there.
Yeah, the chances are we're all going to miss it
Yeah, yeah,
this time.
exactly. Unless you do something silly like sell Cliver for him, then and captain him. But yeah, I mean, the one, and I think I said this last time. It really feels like could be a big season for Scott. But again, it's not something you're diving into week one. But he looked really good in that a little bit further forward. So He's and his set pieces have looked quite good, and he had a good Euros as well. The under 20
Did,
ones.
considering he's having to play with this really awkward mask as well.
So I think he's starting to mature a little bit. I think perhaps we've assumed he was going to make more of a difference than he was, but I mean he's still so young, right? I think we forget that.
Yeah, let's do it before we finish. Let's do a roundup of some of them 5.0s.
Hmm.
Alex Scott, any injury? I mean, could we see him playing in a 10 position at times?
Yeah, I think so. I think the if let's say Traore goes, as I still think that's 50-50. I think I think there's a good chance he starts in that number 10 at Anfield if we assume that Kluivert's not quite up to speed. That's what I would do.
Okay. Tyler Adams likes to tackle.
Yeah, I've been shouting about him with the new
He
defensive
could, I
metrics.
think he could be a good one.
I think if you want you're not necessarily going to want to start him every week, but maybe that first sub, if you want someone that's going to come in and get you 4 points fairly regularly as your first man up off the bench, that sort of player, I really don't mind that at all. He's going to be hopefully, touch wood, if he stays fit, he'll be in the team every week.
Yeah, when he had the season at Leeds, in Sky Fantasy, many of us owned Tyler Adams because of his ball winning ability. So I'd say most of the really strong ball winners are sort of in at 5.5. I'm not saying I wouldn't go to Adams, I don't think, but if someone wanted something at 5.0 and they want it for DEFCON purposes, I think he needs monitoring and having a closer look at, I would suggest. Any love for Luis Sinistera?
He's not made a minute. I don't think he's even been in America, so
Okay.
presumably he's still injured.
That seems like a strange one because
Yeah,
you spent on
it's
him, right?
yeah. He's when he's been on the pitch, he's been wonderful. Like I really like watching him play, but he's just been he's taken over the Stanislas role, unfortunately.
David Brooks.
He's one that could still go, I think, because I think he might be wanting first team football. If he's there or thereabouts, I think him and Tavernier are going to be playing for the same sort of spot. So yeah, I think he could be one if he goes on a little run. I think I really like him as a player. He's one of my favourite players to watch.
Philip Billing has been involved in pre-season. I kind of heard he was definitely going to
Yeah,
go, but he's been involved.
yeah. So the last I saw from sort of one of the actual Bournemouth journalists was that the club is still looking at the potential of seeing what they can get for Philip and Traore. This was before the last two games, and it was before he scored that absolute, worldie against Everton. So I wouldn't. I think at the moment we can't sell him just because of some of the injuries we've got and some of the issues we've got. But yeah, I'm not diving in week one.
He's going to play centre back at Liverpool after you get a £40 million bid for Senesi, mate.
Then I am triple captaining Salah.
You mentioned Traore at 4.5. Can he see some minutes?
Yeah, if he's still here come the deadline, I think he looked really good. Like some of his like between the lines passes, and he looked to get it this summer. Like it felt like historically he wasn't an Andoni player, and that was the problem. Like he's a quality player. He went to Auxerre last year and did very well, but he just didn't quite look like he got it. This summer, it looks like he has. So we'll see. If he's there come transfer deadline passing, I'd be very keen
Okay.
on him.
I only hadn't mentioned Ryan Christie, by the way, because you said he might be struggling
Yeah.
game week one as well. Romain Favreau finally. Seems like when that deal happened, it was like, oh, that might be a player there. I can't think I've seen him in a Bournemouth shirt, mate.
He has played, but it's he spent last season. I think he played at the start of the transfer window, maybe, or like the first game or two, and then moved on. But yeah, apparently he got 4 points in 23-24. So yeah, he must have played something. But yeah, it's just not quite worked for him. I think it was maybe a player we bought to help Lorient out. And then it just hasn't worked for him at Bournemouth. I suspect he might go.
Okay. And have we got a timeline on Enis Unal and a potential return?
He's been training on grass. But
That old
he,
chestnut, which means nothing to anybody.
yeah, his knee looks like something like some sort of war wound. It's absolutely gnarly if you see it on Twitter. But it's, um, I think he's still a few weeks away. It might be sort of, I don't know when the League Cup is for Premier League teams. I suspect it's normally middle of September, end of
I
September.
wouldn't know. I'm in Europe, Neil, so
All right, Mr. Fantasy.
I might buy a Senesi off you just for checks. No, the League Cup second round is between games 2 and 3. Third round is quite soon after September.
Yeah,
The second midweek after the breaks, I think between 5 and 6. I think.
I would if I had if you know gun to my head, I would say that third round might be when we start to see him, but I don't think that second one seems too quick.
All right, go on then. The bit they're waiting for. Predict the game week 1 lineup.
Petrovic in goal, easiest. Start easy. Truffert at left back. I'm going to assume Zabarnyi is done because the club really needs it done. Like if he's going to go, let's get it done. So then it would be Senesi, Hill or slash Senesi other centre back because we'd have to sign someone. I think you've swung me to Smith there just based on it being Hill. If we go and sign a big centre back from somewhere, then I think you can go with Araujo. In the middle, I'm going to go with Adams, Scott as the number 10, and I'm going to say Philip Billing. And then I'm going to say Semenyo on one wing, Dango, Evanilson.
Evanilson.
Yeah.
Interesting. Free hit game week 2
Mm,
is going to be on the agenda for a lot of people.
yes.
And as part of that, that might include treble Bournemouth. You've basically just told us, haven't you? Petrovic or Truffert, Semenyo and Evanilson.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate that at all. I think that,
Is there alternatives to that? I mean, if Kluivert's unavailable, it's got to be Semenyo.
yeah.
Evanilson's obviously a great shout, and I guess it depends defensively if we're comfortable or not. I would say it's a slightly scary prospect for those planning free hit game week 2, like I possibly am now doing. That what if suddenly Semenyo's out, or Evan Nilsson's out, and it's like, oh, I even got the pick of Bournemouth because it's only really Arsenal and yourselves and Manchester City that really stand out probably game week 2 in terms of their home fixtures.
I do appreciate you calling yourself a pick of a fixture there. But yeah, I
I
mean,
nearly left it out. We
I,
never
I,
win at the Etihad, as you well know, Neil.
well, nor do we. So,
Yeah, but
but
we actually do, don't we?
yeah, yeah. I think that those are the three. The only way it would change is if we sign someone that out of left field, which we've done before. So, as you said, we've got money, so there's every chance that we might go and sign someone that makes you go, "Oh, hello." Between now and then, as we've kind of touched on, I do feel like we're a smidgen light in particularly in that sort of front four, with Cook and potentially Christie getting back and Kluivert getting back and stuff. There was I did see again one of the reputable Bournemouth journalists earlier in the summer did say, presuming Zabarnyi goes, Bournemouth want two centre backs and a striker slash attacking player. So that's one to watch. There might be another person that comes out, but as we stand here right now with who we know are Bournemouth players, it's those three.
Talking on journalists quickly, who's good for Bournemouth journalism?
Mark McAdam
Yeah.
is the main one, and then Alex Crook sometimes, but I know sometimes people have a view on him, and then the other one that's worth looking at is Chris Temple, who is the BBC one.
Okay. Finally, before we finish, sorry, no more FPL chat, but I am delighted, Neil. I've seen stadium plans. I've
There are
seen
stadium
expansion
plans.
plans. I might get a ticket at Bournemouth away from next season. It's a possibility.
I might get a Bournemouth home ticket. But yes, the stadium plans are coming. They've all been announced. I think we're in the process. Last I saw of going through the planning permission and all of that. But yeah, from next season there will be. I think it was they want to add about 5,000 seats for next season.
So the building work is starting now, is it?
So what they're looking to do is kind of similar to what has happened at Anfield, where
They're
so they're
building over
building
the top of the roof.
yeah, and so
Yeah.
they'll build some of it off-site while they do the foundations. And this is behind the TED shed, so the temporary stand. So from an away fan's point of view, the stand to your left,
Yep.
um, right as we look at it on the TV. Sorry, no, left. I'm
No, it still
thinking
is
from
left. Yeah.
yeah. I'm thinking from the east stand, but yeah, um, that is going to go into sort of being our biggest stand because that is the area which we can do the most with because the stadium as it sits on two sides is flanked by houses, and that's kind of been one of the big problems that we've had in the build up. So they want to kind of go over the top, and then once the games are finished at the end of the season, then get rid of that Ted McDougall stand and expand. The next steps after that is to fill in the corners and then make some changes to the other three stands to kind of bring them up and make it about 20,000 roughly within about 3 years.
I'll let you know if it's enough, Neil, in a couple of years. Because I don't doubt that despite these issues you have, I do not foresee you being in trouble, mate. I mean, it's too good of a work ethic within the squad. Some really good attacking players. I would only be concerned if you had an injury crisis to first team players. When you had that crazy injury crisis in February, I don't want to call it fortuitous, but you were left with a good 11. There was
Yeah.
only 11 left, but it was a good 11. I'd be more concerned if you lost key players now offensively on top of what's happened at the back.
Yeah, I think if we lost Semenyo and Evanilson at the same time for a length of period, I think little red flags would start going up. I think we were somewhat lucky last year. I think it transpired that we were mathematically safe on Boxing Day. We,
That's mad.
yeah. So that, but obviously it's a new season. We need to get some points on the board. My gut feeling is we won't hit the same heights as last year, just because this is going to be a bit of a transition for us. But I don't expect to be worried either. I do think just on that depth piece, I think one of the things that has struck me recently about how some of the side business that goes under the radar, the club has clearly identified that, and we've had some, been signing a few of these sort of under 21 players from Chelsea, and I think we might have signed from those academy players. That the idea is to obviously start wetting them in ourselves and blood them in. So we've got a few of those players, plus a few of our own that our academies finally caught up, I think, with the Premier League.
Good luck for the season, mate.
Thank
I'll
you.
probably be hiding behind the sofa in game week 1, and so will you probably, mate. I hope you're hiding behind it during game week 3 as well. Thank you very much, Neil. Good luck for the season. We're going from one club who's had their defence ripped out to another now that's had their attack ripped out on the final podcast of Correspondent Week episode day 2. It's episode 8 with Tom Med of Brentford. Neil, thanks very much, mate. Be nice to each other, everyone. Cue music, please, man. Shot.